and welcome to Indus News live from Islamabad. I'm Hira Mustafa and these are the headlines. India has recorded the world's highest daily coronavirus cases for the fourth consecutive day. The country has reported nearly 352,000 cases and its highest death toll of over 2,800 in the past 24 hours. Meanwhile, Pakistan has registered over 4,800 cases and 70 deaths overnight, pushing the toll to nearly 17,200. Globally, the virus has claimed over 3.1 million lives and infected nearly 147 million people. Palestinians have forced the Israeli police to remove the barriers put up to deny their access to Jerusalem's Old Damascus Gate. Thousands filled the East Jerusalem Plaza to celebrate the removal of barricades after a week of violent clashes. For decades, Jerusalem's Old City has been a traditional nighttime meeting place for Palestinians during the holy month of Ramadan. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim to have targeted a Saudi military base in the southern Khamis Mushat city. In a tweet, the group's military spokesperson Yahya Sari said the drone hit the target accurately. However, there is no immediate confirmation from Saudi Arabia on the incident so far. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party has lost all 3 seats in the parliamentary by-elections. Talking to reporters, Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga said he takes the defeats with humility and will make necessary amends in his policies. The loss deals a significant blow to Suga's re-election bid in the general elections later this year. At the 93rd Academy Awards, Chloe Zhao's Nomadland, a recession-era tale about a community of van dwellers in the American West, has won the Oscar for Best Picture. The China-born Zhao has also become just the second woman to win Best Director and the first woman of color. Anthony Hopkins won his second Best Actor award for his heart-wrenching performance as a man with dementia in The Father, while Frances McDormand won her third Best Actress Oscar for Nomadland. Well, these were the headlines. News in detail coming after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Now the news in detail. India has recorded the world's highest daily coronavirus cases for the fourth consecutive day. The country reported over 352,000 new cases and more than 2,800 deaths overnight, its highest figure so far. Globally, the virus has claimed 3.1 million lives and infected 146 million people. More in the pandemic in this report. The world's fight against COVID-19 is in disarray, with the third wave breaking records as vaccine skepticism and supply issues grow. In the US, more than 5 million people have missed out on their second dose, endangering recovery efforts. Responding to India's call for help, the US, EU, France, Germany, and the UK have pledged to send resources. Greece and Switzerland have become the latest nations to detect a case of the Indian variant. Experts say there is mounting evidence that India's actual COVID-19 stats are much higher than reported. In Europe, Italy has announced a $268 billion package to boost businesses and help those hit the hardest by unemployment. In Asia, a long-delayed travel bubble between Hong Kong and Singapore will begin on 26th of May. Meanwhile, Malaysian health authorities say the AstraZeneca vaccine is safe for use 3 days after the nation received its first batch of the shots. Pakistan has reported more than 800,000 COVID-19 cases so far. The country recorded 70 new deaths and more than 4,800 cases overnight. The health ministry says the death toll has risen to 17,187. More than 694,000 people have recovered from the virus. The positivity rate of coronavirus in Pakistan stands at 9.61%. Currently, there are nearly 90,000 active infections in the country. Palestinians have forced Israeli police to remove the barriers put up to deny their access to Jerusalem's Damascus Gate. The Israeli police had barred Muslim worshippers from congregating in the area during the holy month of Ramadan. Footage from Damascus Gate showed the area packed with visitors cheering and whistling in victory. The atmosphere contrasted starkly from that of previous nights, which have featured violent clashes. Meanwhile, Israel has fully closed the Gaza fishing zone after alleging rockets were launched from the territory. Earlier, the Palestine Liberation Organization slammed Israel for denying the Palestinians their right to hold elections in the occupied Jerusalem. Yemen's Houthi rebels claim to have targeted a Saudi military base in the southern Khamis Mushat city. In a tweet, the group's military spokesperson Yahya Sarr said the drone hit the target accurately. However, there is no immediate confirmation from Saudi Arabia on the incident so far. The Houthis have stepped up cross-border aerial attacks on Saudi Arabia and a ground offensive in Yemen's Marib region. The Houthis and the government coalition have made rival claims of making advances in Marib. The recent increase in violence follows US and UN calls for a nationwide ceasefire to help end the war in Yemen. Japan's ruling Liberal Democratic Party has lost all 3 seats in the parliamentary by-elections. The loss deals a significant blow to Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga's re-election bid in the general elections later this year. Talking to reporters, Prime Minister Suga said he takes the defeats with humility and will make necessary amends in his policies. He added fighting the pandemic remains his government's priority. Meanwhile, speaking at party headquarters, the LDP's election campaign chief said the party will reflect seriously on the voters' judgment. Earlier, candidates backed by the main opposition Constitutional Democratic Party claimed all 3 seats, including 2 in the upper house and 1 in the lower house. The Chief of Staff of Iran's armed forces has warned Israel of more attacks on its interests in the future. This comes days after a rocket launched from Syria landed near an Israeli nuclear reactor. Speaking to reporters in Tehran, Major General Mohammad Bagheri said Israeli attacks on Syrian soil will have repercussions. However, he did not comment on who was behind the recent attack, but added he was confident that the resistance front will give the Zionists a fundamental response. The commander's comments come amid months of increased tensions between Iran and Israel. Turkey has vowed to respond in time to U.S. President Joe Biden's statement, calling the alleged killings of Armenians in 1915 a genocide. In an interview, a presidential spokesperson said Biden's remarks are unfair and lack historical evidence. Ibrahim Kalin said the U.S. president's statement will impact bilateral relations. He said there will be a reaction of different forms and degrees in the coming days and months. Kalin added that the Turkish president will address the issue in detail after a cabinet meeting on Monday. Earlier, Turkey summoned the U.S. ambassador to Ankara to protest the remarks. Biden is the first U.S. president to formally label mass killings of Armenians during World War I as genocide. The Organization of Islamic Cooperation has urged all political parties in Somalia to reach an inclusive agreement. This comes after units of the security forces for and against President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo clashed in Mogadishu. In a statement, the OIC said it stands in solidarity with Somalia, but also stressed restraint. Earlier, former Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed alleged that soldiers attacked his residence. Mohammed said he has already warned about the dangers of politicizing security. The government did not respond to a request for comment on the accusations from Mohammed. Tensions have flared up following President Farmajo's signing of law in mid-April, extending his mandate for 2 years. Global military expenditure has increased by 2.6% despite the economic contraction due to COVID-19. A report from the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute shows that the world's defense spending rose to $2 trillion in 2020. According to the report, the spending increased despite global GDP shrinking nearly 4.5% during the period. Diego Lopez da Silva, one of the report's authors, says it was shocking to see that the global defense expenditure was not affected by COVID-19. The overall military share rose from 2.2% to 2.4%, the largest year-on-year increase since the financial crisis of 2009. However, there are some states, including Russia, Brazil, Chile, and South Korea, that spend lesser or reallocated the military budget to health. Exit polls show Albania's ruling socialist party is set to win Sunday's parliamentary election with nearly 47% of the vote. The victory will secure a third term for Prime Minister Edi Rama in one of Europe's poorest countries. His rival Democratic Party, led by Lulzim Basha, is set to win 43.5% of the vote. Nearly 3.6 million eligible voters cast their votes to elect 140 lawmakers among some 1,800 candidates. The new government will have to deal with the coronavirus pandemic and widespread corruption. In Cuba, the national flag-bearing boat staged a protest against U.S. 60-year-old embargo. The Cuban Foreign Ministry has called to hold similar protests abroad as well. Cubans gathered on the capital Havana's coastline to support the protests as boats blaring horns passed the U.S. embassy situated in Malacon. The protesters demanded to end the pressure being subjected on the Caribbean island nation. Former President Donald Trump's tightening of the decades-old trade embargo on Cuba has inflicted further pain on its ailing economy. The new President Joe Biden's administration says it is reviewing the policy but has not indicated about any new action or policy yet. The Spanish Coast Guard says it has rescued another 49 migrants off the Canary Islands. It said the refugees were traveling on a canoe-shaped open vessel at the time of rescue. The migrants had been taken to Arguin's port, while one refugee was taken to the hospital for treatment. On Saturday, another dinghy carrying 50 people, including children, was rescued by Spanish authorities. The UN says hundreds died or went missing last year after attempting the crossing to the Spanish islands in the Atlantic Ocean. More news stories coming up after the short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Nomadland, a recession-era tale about a community of van dwellers in the American West, has won the Oscar for Best Picture. More about the biggest night of the year in Hollywood in this report. The 93rd Annual Academy Awards marked a dramatic departure from the previously televised presentations. Usual comedy and musical performances had been replaced with lengthy oratory from the winners in this year's pandemic-constrained awards show. Nomadland was the big winner at this year's Oscars. It won the Best Picture, while the film's director, Chloe Zhao, won the Best Director, becoming just the second woman and the first woman of color to win the award.
Thank you to the Academy. Thank you to my brilliant nominees, final nominees. Thank you. My entire Nomadland company. What a crazy, once-in-a-lifetime journey we're on together. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to you.
The Best Actor gong went to Anthony Hopkins for his role as a man with dementia in The Father. Meanwhile, Nomadland star Frances McDormand won her third Oscar after taking home the lead actress. The Best Supporting Actor went to Daniel Kaluuya for his nuanced portrayal of Fred Hampton.
Thank you so much for showing me myself. And yeah, man, there's so much work to do, guys, and that's on everyone in this room. This ain't no single-man job. That's some real, and I look to everyone, every single one of you. We got work to do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Meanwhile, South Korean film icon Yeon Yoo-jung won the Best Supporting Actress for her performance in Minari. Soul won the Academy Award for Animated Feature Film, whereas another round got the accolade for the Best International Film. In France, a facility trains ship captains and maritime pilots how to navigate the Suez Canal and a miniature replica of the Egyptian waterway. Details in this report.
The mariner nudges back on the power and makes a subtle adjustment while navigating his cargo vessel through a narrow point in the Suez Canal. Not the Egyptian one, but a replica in the middle of a French forest. The stretch of water was built to train ship captains and maritime pilots how to sail across the Suez Canal, a skill now in the spotlight after the Ever Given cargo ship got stuck in it last month amid high winds and a sandstorm. The channel is built to 1/25th the scale of the section of the real Egyptian waterway. Trainees have to steer through the scale models of massive container ships without getting stuck.
We are in the Port Rebel Suez Canal on a scale of 1/25. The specificity of this site is that the depth, the banks, the shape of the canal are exactly those of the actual historical canal before the 2015 expansion. That is in order to put trainees in very realistic conditions. We make them work in, let's say, normal conditions here, emergency situations where they lose a certain number of technical means or they have to deal with the most varied and complex problems we can put in place for them.
Located in the foothills of the Alps, the Port Rebel facility is designed to replicate some of the trickiest spots in global shipping. Underwater turbines are also present to replicate currents and waves, while training instructors stimulate steering problems and engine outages to see how the trainees react.
The difficulties are the same like in the actual Suez Canal, except that the small differences might be that sandstorms are hard to simulate here. Otherwise, we have very powerful wind gushes that will take you and your ship to a side or another. We have temperatures that will have an impact on your system. And then, we have all the problems and technical issues that might come up. Like in your car, you can have a problem with your gearbox, an engine problem. All of this can happen on a ship as well.
Managers of the facility say that the recent incident of the Suez Canal's blockade may prompt shipping companies to send their staff for refresher courses.
Asian stock markets are trading mixed as investors struggle for direction amid the surging COVID-19's third wave. Shares in mainland China dipped more than 0.5%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index also slipped. Australia's ASX has slid fractionally as well. However, the Nikkei 225 in Japan and Seoul's Kospi have gained over 0.5%. Now it's time to have a look at the weather update across the globe. For the latest updates, you can follow us on social media at indus.news.